everybody, welcome to Drive-Thru Review 167. Today I'm going to talk about Thurn and Taxi's Power and Glory, which is not this box. This box is the original box. I have gotten rid of the expansion box and I put all the pieces in here. Just a quick little sum up. This is much better than the base game. I pretty much never want to play the base game again. But let me show you how it plays. It plays slightly differently than the base game. You get a new board with Power and Glory. You get a couple of different little, wrinkles in the gameplay, but makes it very much more enjoyable, but also at the same time easier to teach to new players. More straightforward, more streamlined, etc. So let's take a look at how it works, and I'll come back and tell you more. Okay, here's the new map here. It looks somewhat similar to the first board. You've got different colored cities here. You're going to try to connect and put your houses out, get rid of all your houses. Now these houses are the only pieces that you're going to use from the base game. There's an entirely new stack of cards that represent all the different towns here, and each player is going to get, instead of the little carriage or the original carriage, you're going to get one of these in their color. And you can see here there's two horseshoes. I'll explain the significance of the horseshoes. But one thing to keep in mind here, so I've got the old carriages here. Remember, if you are familiar with the base game, you're going to go up and basically go from 3 to 4 to 5, 6, and 7. And basically the original game, the game ended one of two ways, by getting rid of your houses or the first player to get that sort of 7-length carriage. This is totally gone, as well as the Cartwright action. So you still have the postal carrier, the postmaster, and the administrator action that you can take on your turn, but you don't have the Cartwright. Now you can play this map with the original rules, with the original carriages and the Cartwright if you wish. I personally don't know why you would, because this is so much fun. So your turn is going to be basically the same. You've got to draw at least one card and play at least one card in front of you. You can wipe, using the administrator action, you can wipe these out and deal out 6 new ones. You can use the action the bonus action to draw 2 cards instead of draw 1, or you can use the bonus action to play 2 cards in front of you instead of just playing 1. And in a similar way, in this game, when you claim a route, you can either claim all cards of the same color. So if I had built out, let me just use houses to denote this, a route from here, 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 and here, then I could either place, houses in all the gray ones or 1 in each color. So I basically do 1 in a gray and 1 in a purple. That's all the same. Now if you look down here, you see some new tokens here. Not only do we have our little bonus tokens, so once you get a house in each of the 2 light blue and the dark blue, you get this, whatever the top stack is there for bonus points. But the first person to put a house in this area here, and then there's 3 areas there at the top, these have these little 1-point bonus markers. So the first person to place a house there gets a bonus point. Now the thing that's also different about these places here is they don't belong to a particular county. So they're not used when you consider getting this tile here. I can't remember the name of this, but basically this one is, once you have a house in basically each color, you just need 1 house in each of the different colors, you're able to grab the top bonus point marker of that stack. These houses are not considered part of that. Also, if we look here at the top of the board, you can't place more than 1 house in these sort of special cities per closing out of the route. So if I was able to, had cards in these different areas like Hanover, Hamburg, and Bremen, let's say I had a little short 3-banger route that way, I can't get rid of both houses in both of these. I can only get rid of 1 of these. So in this case, I wouldn't want to choose basically this sort of yellow color. I'd want to choose the different colors instead of the same color. So I'd do purple and then 1 of these. I can't get rid of more than 1 house in these special areas, basically per route that I close out on that turn. So other than these special cities, there's not really anything too different here. You've got your sort of large gray areas that kind of, in this case is split across the board. So if you want to get that top victory point marker there, for the gray ones, there's basically 2 sort of locations that you need to get your houses out into. And then you've got your sort of one-off, this dark red one here, this is called Brussels here. That's sort of like Loads, if you remember from the basic game, that's the dark gray one that was up in that corner. This is sort of the one-off. It's sort of, somewhat difficult to get a house out in this area here. So other than that, there's actually 2 big differences in the game. And the first thing has to do with laying out cards. So let's say, for argument's sake, I got some cards in my hand here. I'm laying these out in front of me, and you know, this is an illegal route. Let's say I get these out in front of me. And you got to look at the horseshoes here on these cards. Now, the same number of horseshoes that are on the front of the card are also on the back of the card. So there's always going to be, you know, 2 on this side and 2 on this side, and you know, 1 on this one and 1 on this one. So they're going to be 1, 2, or 3 horseshoes, and these are sort of somewhat randomly assigned to different cards. So not all of the monsters have 3 horseshoes. There's monsters with 1 and 2 horseshoes there. So in addition to playing cards in front of you, you can also play cards to your carriage here. So you start off with 2 horseshoes like that. So if you want, you can play a card face down and play it sort of extending your carriage. Now I've got 5 horseshoes. Well, why would I want to do that? Well, because we've gotten rid of the original carriages here from the basic game, there's a new sort of stipulation when you close out your route. So if I had this route here, let's say that was a legal route of 3 cities connected, I would need at least 3 horseshoes in my little horseshoe pile here before I could close the route out. So if I've got these 3, then maybe on a later turn I place this here, because you can place this here instead of, again, placing it in front of you. You can put a card face down. Now I've got 5 horseshoes. Well, that's plenty, more than enough, because I've only got 3 different cities here. So now I can close the route out. I'll discard these as normal, discard any of these you know, face down cards that I have back into the discard, and then continue my turn. Now you can never have more than 6 cards face down here, so you can't use it as too much of a failsafe. One of the nice things about this is, and that can be frustrating for new players in the original game, is if you get, you know, you get sort of bad luck, you get kind of screwed by the display of cards here, and you don't have a card to add to, you know, your route, then you've got to, you know, close out your route and start over again. This also acts as a sort of a preventative sort of default action. So if I have a card, I don't have anything I can add, I don't have to close out my route. I can add a card here and maybe do that, you know, 1 or 2 turns in a row. You know, I'm kind of slowing myself down, but it's not the end of the world in that case, and I can keep playing. So again, you got to have the equal amount of horseshoes here to the number of cards in front of you. Now the other sort of side effect of that is the way that the game is going to pace itself. Now in the original game, for the most part, you basically you build a route of 3, close that out. You'd build another route of 4, close that out, 5, 6, and then 7, possibly using the car ride action to skip ahead. But in this, we don't really have that case. So if you look down here, we've got these sort of route bonus tiles here. And these actually go up to 8. So in this case, the first player to build a route that is 8 cards long is going to grab the top one, in this case 5 points. And then we've got 5, 6, 7, and 8 worth of points here. So the game really encourages players, in a sense, to, and this is not the right verbiage here, but to sort of push their luck and see how big of a route they can get out in 1 turn. Now that's not always the most optimal strategy. Sometimes it's, you know, strategic to sort of cut your losses, close out like a 3 or 4 size route. But actually, one game, almost on my first you know, closing of a route, got all colors. I think the only one I'm missing, this is a few weeks ago now, the only one I was missing was Brussels. So I had a route sort of strategically sort of scattered and wove through each color in the game here, and basically I think it was 11 cards that I had, and I was able to get out like 9 houses or something except for Brussels. So I had gotten everything, and then I could just focus on getting some of these other colors and then getting Brussels to get that big bonus up there. So the game sort of takes on a very different a life of its own, a very different pacing. It has a similar sort of, you know, feel to the basic game, but it plays out in a very different way, and to me it's a little bit more pleasing in that way. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the overview. I've just got a sort of a little bit of a break coming up here for the next week or so. I got like 10 games that I need to play that are new games, and some folks actually requested the review of this, so I thought I would throw this out while I go into a hidey hole for a little bit. So I know it's an older game, not really that, you know, probably not very many people are excited to hear about this. But if you're a Thurn Taxis fan, or you had some interest in Thurn Taxis, I would recommend this and getting this along with, you know, the base game. Like I said at the beginning, this is much easier to teach people. It's a lot more straightforward. Those carriages, I've had a hard time sort of explaining those to people. for some reason. I mean, they get it. It's just one of those things. Just I don't know what it is. It's sort of an obtuse sort of principle or mechanic there. This one's much more straightforward. Like I said, though, I like the pacing of this better. It seems to me that, at least for me, and I think for most people that I've talked to, I think to a person that I've played this with, it has a little bit more of an intuitive feel to what you're going to do strategically in this game. And without talking about too much of the base game, this seems to be a lot more straightforward in terms of denying people cards and in sort of determining the pace of the game, how quickly the game is actually moving along, what you're going to be capable of, what you're going to be able to achieve, by the end of the game as the game kind of winds down. The games tend to be a little bit closer. They feel a little bit closer. It seems like you won't get as screwed. The capability of getting screwed on the cards that you need is a lot less in this game. But in a way, you can kind of control how you screw somebody over. It won't be catastrophic, but it will sort of slow them down just a little bit. And so the game really has a very nice feel to it, and you're able to sort of chase after the different bonus points a little bit easier in a sense. Not that the game is necessarily easier, but it just presents itself in a much more straightforward way with this. And I would even go so far as to say this is almost sort of like, kind of like the basic game, and the original is kind of the advanced game with that really kind of wonky carriage aspect to it. Like I said, all you need is the houses from the base game, so you can almost just buy the expansion and get, let's see, 4 sets of colored cubes, 20 each, and then just use those as houses if you really wanted to just get the expansion. But like I said, if you have both, you can kind of play around. You can play with the old way with the new map. Unfortunately, you can't play the new way with the old map because there's, the cards for the original map don't have the horseshoes on the back of them. Might be kind of cool to, whip up a set of cards like that, or come up with some variant that, certain colors or something were counted as a certain number of horseshoes or something like that. Or they could print new cards or something. But anyway, that's Power and Glory, and I played this a lot. Not quite as much as the base game yet, but I'm getting there, and I probably will never play the base game again. Okay, thanks.